Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. Yes, it is a little bit past 8 p.m. on the East Coast. I'm a little bit late tonight, but that's because that's the reason why. Just because that's the reason. A little bit late. It's Friday night before Christmas. That is my kind of BS excuse, but that's what it is. That I am so happy to see all of you here with me this evening. And I wanted to bring up something that people were talking about, have been talking about a lot recently. And I wanted to bring up, I think, something that people are concerned about, and I want to know what we think about. And that is the idea that Trump was thrown off the ballot so far in Colorado, and he may be thrown off the ballot in a whole bunch of states. That is possible. We're seeing it already begin to happen. We're seeing people talk about it. It is happening all over the place. Now, you know that I'm going to have an interesting take. You know that, right? Of course you do. You wouldn't be here if you didn't think so. So do me a favor. You know what to do. Click the like button already. And more importantly, if you're watching on Twitter, excuse me, share it on Twitter, right? Retweet it now if you don't mind. Very helpful if you could do that. Retweeting it, of course. Now, when it comes to Trump being thrown off the ballot, who cares? That was my first initial piece. Who cares about this? Does any of it matter? Does it matter? I have heard people scream and yell, it's the worst thing in the world, or the opposite. He deserves it. It's good. Let me cover this from a couple different parts, if I could. Number one, what people don't realize is the first piece is this is the second time this has been brought up. It went to a judge in the first place here in Colorado, and then went to a second place, an appeals court. The first judge was such a coward. Let me say it again. The first judge was such a coward. The first judge said, yes, Trump is an insurrectionist. That's what the judge said. But the 14th Amendment doesn't affect him because he's not really an officer. Now, I want you to think about how stupid that is. So again, after the Civil War, this is the thought process. After the Civil War, the Union that won thought, you know what? We're scared that these Confederates might take over the government. We're scared about every office except president. We're fine if a Confederate takes over the presidency, but the other things, that's what we're worried about. How insanely dumb is that? So clearly the judge can't be that stupid. She passed enough tests to become a lawyer. But even though she isn't that stupid, she did it on purpose. Why? Because what she said was, he is an insurrectionist, but this doesn't affect him. Knowing how insanely stupid that is, she does it anyway. Why? She knows it's going to be appealed. Why does that matter? Because once it goes to appeal, what will appellate judges and other judges always do? What do they always fall back to, as terrible judges always do? Precedent. They always do. So they go, well, I can now call Trump an insurrectionist. Why? Because the first judge deemed it so. And I want to be clear on this. The first judge didn't have to mention that. The first judge could have just said, if she wanted to, she could have just said, hey, this doesn't affect Trump. Done, because he's not an officer. She could have said that. She didn't. She said, yes, he was an insurrectionist. So the first judge called him an insurrectionist and then said, doesn't affect him. Knowing that now the next set of judges can go, oh, well, she said he's an insurrectionist, so therefore he is. Some of you didn't think of it that way. I did, because I've watched terrible judges do terrible things to me directly more than once. And I know how they think. That's how they thought. That was a setup from 1 to 2. You might say to yourself, well, Larry, it doesn't matter. Who cares? So they're saying this. It's just going to go to the Supreme Court and get overturned, right? They're just going to say it's overturned. Maybe, but what would happen if, say, the Supreme Court says, well, this is actually a state's issue because elections are the state. So therefore, we don't want to see it. That could happen. Do I think that will happen? No, I don't. I think they will see it. I think the Supreme Court will see it. However, they could go, well, we're not seeing it, not because we agree with what the Colorado court said, but because we feel that elections are run by the state and we shouldn't decide. If they do that, the world will say Supreme Court agreed that he shouldn't be on and that he's an insurrectionist. This is the plan, right? I'm just being clear. That's the hope that they want to happen. That is the hope. If I had to bet, I would bet that's not going to happen. However, I think that is the hope. The hope is that happens, and then literally, if that happens, Trump becomes an insurrectionist. That becomes the precedent. Yes. Why do I say that? Why do you think California now is doing this? California's like, we'll do it. Because he's now clearly an insurrectionist. Some judge said so, so therefore it's true. And now we'll keep going. And now California will do it. And now the next person will do it. And the next person will do it. And before you know it, there'll be several states trying to throw him off the ballot. Now you might go, Larry, that's terrible. I would agree. However, if the states they throw him off is just the blue states, does it really matter? Yes, I am purposely yanking some of your chains. I know I am. And I know some of you ready to explode, but I thought this was so good to talk through because the nuances. Yes. Let me keep going. Oh no, Joe, you took my yes. Oh no, Trump won't win California now. Thank you. That is you knew it. Joe's reading my mind. He's been through this too. If they throw him off of like New York and California and Colorado and Illinois, he's not winning those states anyway. So even if they do throw him off of like 10 states, I'm making that up. If they're all blue states, Trump won an election and lost an election, was president and not president without having California, New York, and Colorado. So does it really matter? Actually, it doesn't when it comes to him winning. Could you imagine? Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not going to vote for Trump. Be clear about that. I'm not going to vote. I didn't vote for him before. I voted Libertarian both times. So I'm not voting for him. That's not going to happen. So I have no dog in this fight when it comes to that. There's other things I'm going to cover in a second. But when it comes to that, imagine they throw him off 10 states and he still wins. He wins to 40 state ballot access. How embarrassing would that be? But I'm going to go further than this. Yes, I'm going further. I'm going to go further than this. I don't think the Democrats actually want him thrown off all the ballots. I don't. I think individual Democrats do, like the average Democrat tends to hate Trump. The average Republican tends to like Trump. That's not all Republicans like Trump, not all Democrats hate Trump, but as a group, right? Most Democrats really hate Trump. Most Republicans really like Trump. That's true. Polling shows that. That's absolutely true. So, does the leadership, though? And I'm going to say something that's crazy. The Republican leadership hates Trump. They don't want him on a ballot at all. They would love nothing more than him to be thrown off of enough ballots so Republicans could walk in and go, oh, we love Trump so much, but we got to get rid of him because, he can't win. So we gotta move on. Oh, Republicans, we love him so much. Oh, but we got to get rid of him and put in Nikki Haley or whoever is the Republican that the establishment loves, right? They got to do that. So they would love that. Democrats would hate that. Because as you know, right now, Joe Biden, not popular at all. The only hope Democrats have right now, if they keep Biden, is to make sure every single Democrat possible comes out of the woodwork and votes. Hopefully more than once, but at least once, vote as many as they possibly can. They want to vote. So what brings Democrats out more than anything? It's not Joe Biden. It's Donald Trump. As long as they can say, orange man bad, Democrats, you got to come out. Democracy's over if you don't come out. Democrats rush on out and will vote for anybody other than Trump, right? That is the Democratic leadership's goal. In the perfect world, if the Democratic leadership got their way, Donald Trump would be on the ballot, but battered, like out of like 1 or 2 states. So they can say he's not legitimate and they can say all the bad things. And hopefully, again, this is establishing Democrat leadership, not the average Democrat. The leadership will say, we want him in court all day long, because the more Trump is in court, the less he's out rallying his base, which is what he's good at, right? That's, again, whether you like Trump or not, whatever you feel about Trump, either way, you got to admit that man can rally his base, right? That's one that he can do very well. So they don't want him rallying the base. They want him in court or doing something like that. Of course they do. That makes tons of sense. So while the average Democrat would love to see Trump kicked off all the ballots, they're actually in league theoretically with Republican leadership. I know, isn't that nuts? The average Democrat is in league with Republican leadership, and the average Republican is in league with Democratic leadership. That is how broken our system is. And what this ruling has shown, in my view, is actually that. That's what it's shown, what they actually want to do. Now, let me walk down another road if I could. I'm not done. I've got a bunch to say on this one, a lot to say on this one. Let's add one more step. People, particularly libertarians, are saying things like, oh my God, this is terrible. And I'm even going to add this next one here. Hold on. This is, there we go. Michael Voss is here. This is what I'm hearing always. The precedent is dangerous, Larry. Accusation equals guilt, determined without peers or trial, all to eliminate political opponents. This is corruption. Now, let me be specific on 2 things, if I could. And these are nuances that I think are interesting. The 14th Amendment doesn't say you have to be an insurrectionist to not be eligible to be on the ballot. It says you be an insurrectionist or have given aid or comfort to such. So you don't have to be one by the Constitution. And if someone were to say, hey, I'm going to have a very wide range, I'm going to have a big wide definition of this, if a judge were to say that, they could say, well, no, he's an insurrectionist, but he did give aid and comfort. He said, we love you. He said, go home. They could have done all of those things. That was, at least, to your case, Michael, that would have at least been an argument, because you could actually find evidence. You could discuss the evidence of aid and comfort. You could do that. That would be an argument that someone could say, okay, let's discuss this. But once you say insurrectionist, you're right. He wasn't convicted. Insurrection is a crime. He was not convicted. You are correct. Now, why do I say that? Because I'm not the only guy who's read the Constitution. So, I mean, not that any judges care about the Constitution, but they have read it, right? They're probably laughing when they read it, but they actually have read it at least once in college, probably never again. But they read it. So have I. We've read it more than once. So they know. Again, that first Colorado judge, if she chose to, she could have said, my argument is that he's not insurrectionist, but that he gave aid and comfort to them. She could have said that and then said, this is my evidence of this, and therefore he's ineligible. She didn't do that. If she does that, that's an actual argument that you can go back and forth on. There's a discussion there. There's no conviction for aid and comfort. That will be a, do I believe this is, do I believe that is? She didn't do that. Why not? Because then she can't call him an insurrectionist. And that's what she wanted, which solidifies one important piece of this, which does bother me, which is this is 100% political. And it shouldn't be, right? If a judge is going to say Donald Trump shouldn't be on the ballot, I can accept that if you're doing your wide definition and you're showing evidence of that, and we have a conversation about that. Okay, you believe that these things he did is providing aid and comfort, and this is what, none of that happened. And in the second court, none of that happened. Nobody said, no, he provided aid and comfort. Here's how, none of that happened. This is why I know it's political. That would be an actual argument that somebody could have had. Like you and I could have a discussion on this. Was it aid and comfort? Was it not? Blah, blah, blah. Now you have a conversation. We didn't do that. You may say, well, it wasn't insurrection. Doesn't matter. You have precedent of them being, people did plead guilty, and they were charged with these crimes and convicted. So now you have an argument that there were insurrectionists. There's an argument there. Whether you agree or not, there is an argument there. The question now becomes aid and comfort. None of that. None of that, Michael. None of that. So I know I went a little off topic on that, but all I'm saying is that could have been done. That's at least an argument now. At least. It's an argument now. One judge said he is, therefore he is. But we're talking about precedent. This isn't the precedent. People are talking about precedent. It's not. This is a culmination of all the stuff before that we didn't care about, that we didn't talk about, that we didn't care as people were being, assumed guilty without trial already, that we've been doing for decades, if not longer, but for sure decades. This is a culmination. This is a culmination of judges throwing people off the ballot for decades. They've been doing it, throwing them off the ballot left and right. This is the precedent is that the state controls the ballot. Think about that. Where in the Constitution is that a case? It isn't. There's no political parties in the Constitution. Political parties controlling the ballot is by default unconstitutional, yet I can't find a judge to say that. They just go, yep, it's all good. It's embarrassingly bad. It's bad. If I can quickly do a super chat, the Lunatic Libertarian, thank you for 999. Those that believe they are not being aggressed against, more power to you. The NAP, the non-aggression principle, never applies in reality today. When do we remove through congressional foundation the government no longer valid? I agree with you. And this is why I go to the next piece, which some of you probably would understand. I'm actually happy it happened. Is it because I don't like Donald Trump? No. Do I even think it should happen? No. But am I happy it happened? Yes. Selfishly, to your point, Lunatic Libertarian, I am happy on a totally selfish reason. Finally, people all over the country are talking about ballot access. What I've been talking about since 2012. For 11 years, I've been talking about ballot access. Finally, the country's talking about it. So completely selfishly, happy he got removed. Happy they're fighting this because now you got to talk about it. You can't ignore it anymore. You can't ignore the fact that judges decide who you vote for. Judges decide. Parties and judges decide who you vote for. And again, that's not in the Constitution. If you go back 50 years or more, they didn't print out ballots. That wasn't a thing. You don't realize that? No. There was an empty ballot. You wrote in the person you wanted to vote for. Done. That was how it was done. You wrote the person's name down. I want Joey Smith. Done. I want Jane Doe. Done. You write down who you want. You can't do that anymore. States decide if a write-in is valid. How dare anyone say whether a write-in is valid or not? Where is that in the Constitution? Where is that in the state constitution? Where is that ever that the state decides who you get to vote for? And we're a democracy? But the state decides and oligarchs decide who you get to vote for. Then they gerrymander it so you don't get an actual decision anyway. That's our current democracy. Yes, I'm joking, democracy, because it isn't one. And this shows it. This is why I'm very happy this happened. For those of you who like Trump, you're probably mad that he got thrown off. I'm not. I think he's going to get back on. But I'm not mad. I'm happy it happened. I want more people pissed off. I want more people talking about this. I want more people discussing this. I want ballot access to be something everyone talks about. So selfishly, I am glad it happened. Now, I want to go one step further. What do I think is going to happen in the Supreme Court? Do I actually believe the Supreme Court's not going to hear this? They could, but I don't think so. I think because here's what will happen. If the Supreme Court actually does not see this, the country is going to take it as if the Supreme Court agreed with Colorado. That doesn't mean that, but they will take it as that. They will say, oh, see, the Supreme Court wouldn't see it because clearly that means they agree with Colorado and Trump is an insurrectionist and should not be there. Supreme Court has spoken. That is how they'll take it. That's why I think Supreme Court will take it to avoid it looking that way. My hope, I hope so much that Supreme Court puts Trump back on a ballot, but not because he was or was not insurrectionist, because they believe, and this is my hope. I don't have evidence of this. This is my personal selfish hope that they say he's the president of the United States, was president of the United States, is running now. Tens of millions of Americans want him. Clearly, he's a front runner to actually win at the moment, according to polls. This is something that the courts and a judge should not decide. The people must decide. That's democracy. I hope they say that. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying selfishly, I hope they do. Why? Because that was my argument in 2022 to get in a ballot in New York State. It would validate my argument. So yes, I am completely, I say I don't have a dog in this fight. Not for this election, but for this issue, oh, I do. I got a horse in this race. Oh, I do. I absolutely do. So again, selfishly, I'm just being totally upfront. Selfishly, I hope the Supreme Court says, based upon First Amendment rights, based upon the right of the people, this is too important. We can't decide this. Trump should stand the ballot. I hope they say that. That would help me out tremendously. We'll see what actually happens. But that is what I want to happen. I hope that's what happens. I do think that they will let him back on the ballot. That is my assumption. But to be forward, if you are not a Trump supporter and you think he shouldn't be off the ballot, theoretically, to be clear, I brought that argument before. Theoretically, should a state be able to decide? I think they should be able to decide. Right? Theoretically, I do. In this case, it's obviously political. And again, my point when I was talking to Mike about this, if they had said, I have a broad definition of what aid and comfort is, and that is the reason why he should not be on, that's a valid argument. Now we can have a back and forth. Now we talk about that. I'm okay with that conceptually, right? Again, I do want states to care about this, but this isn't that. This is, I'm scared, and that's what I want. So yes, that is my issue. So, Lunatic Libertarian, you are back in action again. Hold on, let me grab this super chat. Thank you again for super chat. I believe constitutionally we can take over the county sheriff's office. Agreed. That's true. Yes. Then we own those that enforce the law of the land. They are servants. Then we enforce only the laws and policies that are valid, declared by the people. Yes and no. And here is the problem. In theory, that is correct, right? You are logically and theoretically correct. In practice, and this is why the judges don't do anything, what should happen is sheriffs don't enforce unconstitutional laws. That should happen. But they often do, constantly, all the time. Drug laws are a perfect example of that. Drug laws are unconstitutional. How do I know that? How do I know drug laws are unconstitutional? Because prohibition had to be a constitutional amendment. If the government had the ability to control a substance like alcohol and just make it and just stop it, there wouldn't need to be a constitutional amendment. But there was one. Why? Because they don't have a right to. They just made instead, well, we're going to have these levels of badness, whatever they want to call their, scheduling. Schedule 1. So this same thing is unconstitutional. So if you had to have a constitutional amendment for prohibition, that's for prohibition. What's the difference between alcohol and whatever? So the drug war, unconstitutional, guaranteed. It's already there. Evidence is there. They do it. I'll go also to judges. Judges should not at all be accepting half of these laws, but they do again and again and again. But why would they do it? Sadly, Mr. Lunatic, because they're all part of the same system. The sheriffs are Republicans and Democrats, and the judges are Republicans and Democrats. They're all Republicans and Democrats. They're all part of the same system. It supports them. That's the problem. We need more people who are not part of the system. But I get your point. Thank you. I appreciate that. So, yes. Joe says, good point. Surprised I never heard that reasoning. It's right there. It's right there. Clearly, it is unconstitutional. If it wasn't, they would have never required an amendment for prohibition. They just would have stopped it. They would have stopped it. They needed an amendment. Yes, it's not in the Constitution. How can they do that? In theory, could a state? Yes, in theory, a state could, in theory, right? Because again, anything not The federal government is given to the state. So I can see an argument for a state being a dry state or a dry county. Again, that's an argument. I'm okay to have that argument. I disagree. I think it's a bad idea, but at least it's an argument there. There's no argument whether the federal government can have any kind of war on drugs or war on any substance. The federal government can have a war on no substances. It can't. That is the reason why we need an amendment for prohibition. It's utterly unconstitutional. If they keep doing it, judges do nothing. They sit back and let it happen, and so do sheriffs, sadly. But your point is a valid one. If we could do that, enough of them, I think we can make really a good change. Let me grab some more comments if I could, guys. And by the way, if you like what you're hearing, please do me a favor, click the like button. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet this. Every repost matters. It really does. You saw the super chats already. The Lunatic Libertarian giving me super chats. Thank you so much. Super chat away to the best of your ability to be awesome. If you want to support the show directly, you can. Patreon.com/Sharpe. $10 a month goes a whole long way. I'm doing more of this and less consulting in my day job. More time doing this. If you want to support my insane but very important ballot access, head over to LarrySharpe.com/ballot access. You can support that then too if you want to. Absolutely. Now, you might say, Larry, why do you care so much about the Supreme Court and the First Amendment and that? Because then I can resue in New York State and win with precedent. And I get back on the ballot and run for governor yet again. I can punish myself yet again. I haven't been punished enough. So I would like some more punishment, please, is why I would do that. Because I would like some more punishment is the reason why. But I could actually do that. So I appreciate that tremendously. So that's what I'm trying to do. Keep grabbing some. Michelle Ann, Merry Christmas from Jay and I. Merry Christmas, Jay. Merry Christmas coming up on Monday. I hope you have a wonderful, amazing Christmas. And Michelle, yes, I hope you have a great Christmas too. I hope you're able to find some good time with family and friends, those close to you. I really hope so. Yes. I will have my family here, so that's cool. So yes. Michelle says, yes, it matters. It does matter. I was teasing what I was saying. So yes, it does matter. Zach, Legacy Zach says, the Civil War deal really affected the 21st century. Yes, right? I would go back and I would say that as many libertarians don't like Lincoln as a president. I understand. However, there's a big however. Lincoln's death, him being murdered, has hurt this country tremendously. Why? Because whatever you might have thinking about Lincoln, Lincoln actually didn't want to punish when it came to the states coming in. He wanted to try to find a way to make it work. And people knew that. Like, that's one of the reasons why the South surrendered when they did. There were many reasons why, but one of them was, if we can talk to Lincoln, we can get a decent peace here. We can just get a non-punitive peace. That's what the South believed. If you do any homework on this, I don't know if you're a historian or not, that part was true. They were trying to surrender Lincoln, hoping they could have a decent peace. It's what they wanted. And Lincoln was, of all the people who were there, he was the best one of the bunch. Now, you might not like him, but all others were a whole lot worse. And it became much more punitive. And everything went wrong. It was a terrible thing. I think it really hurt tremendously. If he hadn't have been killed, we would have had a better restoration, a better reconstruction, and we wouldn't have as many problems as we have now. We still have problems, but they would be less. So I think your point's about when it is still affecting us, which is why I don't want to go through another one. And people say, do it again. No, we're still feeling this, Zach, from 150 years ago. We don't need another one at all. We don't need that. So yes. Shelley says, you're the expert on being unconstitutionally thrown off the ballot. I am, Shelley. Thank you. You were there. Yes. You watched it happen. Absolutely. Yes. Joe says, Trump gets out of the ballot in Democratic states. Biden gets off of the ballot in our states, and zero electors would have been different. Well, here's what I think you're going to worry about. Who's going to fight in the swing states? And I would argue, and you may think I'm crazy, and I talked about my people who are kind of on the same track together, those who are trying to help each other, the Republican leadership and the Democratic voter versus the Republican voter and the Democratic leadership. If they think this can actually work, I would bet establishment Republicans and never Trump Republicans, like the Lincoln Project guys and people like that, would literally fund lawsuits to get him thrown off the ballot in swing states. I think Republicans will do that because that is their excuse to get rid of him and put Nikki Haley in. And again, establishment leadership Republicans, they don't want Trump. They want Nikki Haley. So I think actually Republicans might, if they think it could work, try this. Where Democrat leadership will go, don't do that. We don't want Nikki Haley. We don't want Nikki Haley. We want Trump. We want to get all our Democrats out to vote. We got no shot. And Democrats are raising tons of money. Republican Party isn't. And this some of you may not know this. Republican candidates are raising decent money. Republican Party isn't. It's actually struggling to raise money. Compared, I mean, look, they're making a ton of money than any other party except Democrats. But as a party, they're not doing well. Democrats are. Because all Democrats do is go, remember Trump. Remember him. He's coming to eat your children. And Democrats go, my God, take all my money. Don't eat my children. That happens immediately. Trump's not running. The Republicans aren't working. People give money to Trump or individuals, but not to the party. So I do think there could be some kind of crazy connection. Absolutely. So, all righty. Michael says, I'm mad, but not for the reasons I expect. This is politics and fortification of 2024, not law. Trump is convicted of 0 voter nullification, even nullifying write-ins. Yes, it is voter nullification. Great point. It is voter nullification. You're right. I want to vote for someone. No, Mike, you can't because I'm a judge and I say you can't. But again, if it's not political, I'm not against it, right? The argument is given, well, no, the voters have to decide whatever, what if he was, wasn't 35, or what if he wasn't a naturalized American citizen, or whatever the case may be. What I think, is it 12 years that you've lived in the country? I think it's 12 years, whatever the number is, whatever the requirements are, right? What if he didn't have the requirements, right? I think a state could say, no, he doesn't have, he's only, 25 years old. He can't run. No, I think a state could do that. But again, then there's facts there, right? I would have to show, look, here's his birth certificate. He's, whatever, that kind of thing. You'd have to have something like that. So again, I'm not conceptually against this if he's actually breaking the rules. But again, even if they didn't do any of that, this was political. And I gave you all just 10 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago an actual way you could have made a constitutional argument to say he shouldn't be on the ballot. They didn't do that. They didn't want that. They didn't want that. So yes. So anyway, I'm sorry. Dan DeRocco says, Larry, it does matter. It's no different because government is using the levers of power through fake judicial process to remove a candidate. The courts are not allowing due process. Yeah, I know. I'm with you, Dan. I didn't get even a hearing when they threw me off. I'm not joking. Some of you may not know that. I didn't get a hearing. When we did our first appeal, I literally said, I didn't get a hearing. So the guy who's suing to throw me off the ballot, I didn't get to see what he was. I didn't see who he was. Nothing. I got no hearing. The Board of Elections in New York State literally said, again, if you care, you can check this if you're a lawyer. This is all public knowledge. They said a hearing was academic. A hearing is the equivalent of a trial. Your trial is academic. We deem you guilty. That's what they said. And that's in writing. You can check that. If you care, you can check it. It is public knowledge. They said that. And the judge was Judge Weinstein. He was like, that doesn't sound right. You should get a hearing. I'm like, yes, I'd like a hearing. And then the lawyer for the Republican Party who was throwing up the ballot said, yeah, he does. Even the lawyer said, yeah, he deserves a hearing. There were separate lawyers for the Board of Elections. Yes, the Board of Election has separate attorneys to defend themselves against me. I'm not joking. Some of you, Shelley, was in the court and she saw this. She was in the courtroom. She saw this. They have their own lawyers. And their lawyers said, no, you don't get a hearing. You may not have a trial. And the judge agreed with them. This goes to my point that I was talking to you about, lunatic libertarian. A judge should not do that. A judge should say, no, you deserve a trial. You deserve a hearing. Of course you do. Just because the Board of Elections says you don't, to hell with them. They work for the people. I support individual people's rights. You deserve a hearing. He didn't do that. He went, no, you're right. And then he wrote this. I'm not joking. Again, if any of you are lawyers, you want to check it out, this is all public. He wrote in his response to me, Larry Sharpe did not make a constitutional argument. I used the word constitutional more than once in both my oral argument and in my writing argument, both of them. I used the word, and it's there. You can look at it. It's there, which shows what? He didn't even bother reading it. He didn't read it. He accepted the system that he's part of, the Board of Elections, to my point, lunatic libertarian. He just accepted it. Those people are me. We're all part of the same system. Larry is not. He's got to go. He's wrong. That's actually what happened. So, yes, I agree with you, Dan. 100%. So, yes. All righty. Oh, yeah, Shelley was there. She goes, the appeals court was the kangaroo court. Yes, Shelley was physically there. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Let me see if I can grab a couple of these if I can. Mike says, first judge cannot arbitrarily declare guilt. Perversion of the legal system. Agreed. And this, again, I know I'm saying this again, but I just got to keep saying it. You're right. This was done on purpose, Mike. This was done on purpose to set legal precedent that he is guilty. Why? Someone said it in writing. We now have in writing that he's an insurrectionist. That is now our reason. If you notice in the appellate decision, for those of you who watched, it was what, 4-3? Is that what was it? I forgot what it was. Whatever it was. None of them said he wasn't an insurrectionist. It's done. He is. Why? Because other judge said so. Now, you and I, Mike, might go, wow, that's stupid. Yes, that's not how judges think. Judges think precedent. Someone else said it. No one overturned it. Therefore, it's true. And the more it doesn't get overturned, right? The more it doesn't get overturned, that thing doesn't get overturned, the more it is. So if we keep appealing and no judge says the thing is wrong, it's not wrong. It's right. The judge said Larry Sharpe didn't make a constitutional argument. I did. The other judge, Topelko, didn't say that. Therefore, I didn't. Even though I did, and you can literally see it. Doesn't matter. The judge said I didn't. The appellate court didn't mention it. Therefore, I didn't. I wish that's not how it works. That is how it works. So, yes. Craig, how are you, sir? He says, I'm just angry at all the outrage from Republicans saying you can't throw people off the ballot when they literally threw us off the ballot last year. Fake morals and anger only when they get the shaft. Let me be very clear. If you are a Republican in New York State right now, and you know any leadership in the Republican or conservative party, any leadership in either of those two parties, and you're angry that Trump is off the ballot, good for you. Take it. You deserve it. Understand the anger that all libertarians have felt for decades. And me last year. I spent $400,000 and couldn't even get on the ballot to lose. And the worst part is, if those of you remember, last year, 2022, in October, Sean Hannity, on his show, told New Yorkers, don't vote for me. Why would he say that? Why in the world would he say that? Literally, it's October. I was thrown off the ballot. I lost my final appeal, and the Supreme Court wouldn't take my case. I'd lost it. Why did you do that? Because I was still polling at 2%. After losing everything, I was still polling at 2%. And he thought that would be enough to get loser Lee Zeldin to win. No. Yes, I get you completely. Yes. So Joe says, so the first judge decided that the sitting president, checks notes, is an insurrectionist. Well, no. Yeah, I guess so. I would say yes, that sounds about right. So yes. As Legacy Zach says, Nikki Haley, war pig. Accurate, Zach, accurate. And remember, establishment Republicans, all about war. Establishment Democrats too. Sorry, all the establishment. I should be clearer on that. All the establishment, 100% war pigs. Yes. And of course they want that. Why do the establishment hates Trump so much? Not establishment. They love Nikki Haley. Establishment. Why do they hate Bernie? Not establishment. Right? They want people who are establishment. Nikki Haley is establishment. Nikki Haley is Republican. She's Republican Hillary Clinton. Oh, I just made some Republicans angry. But she is. She's just Hillary Clinton, huge war pig. So is Nikki Haley. 100%. You are absolutely correct on that. Zach, I wish you were wrong, but you are right. And if they could, they would have her on the ticket. Again, establishment Republicans, average Republicans still want Trump. And I think they still may get him. But I'm just saying that's how they think. So, all right. Oh, okay. A couple of things in this. They're watching RFK win in Colorado will be funny and groundbreaking. Joe, same thing. RFK winning Colorado will be epic. You know, it's funny. Imagine if there was only 2 or 3 people on the ballot there in Colorado: a Libertarian, a Green, RFK, and Biden. Only 4, right? In that case, that's a winnable state for RFK. All of a sudden, he might win this thing. You never know. You're right. Could happen. Absolutely. Yes. So rhetoric goes on. Eric, how are you, sir? Says that's a good point about Trump bringing out more Democrats than Biden. Yes, they know this, right? Biden won last time, not because Biden was a good candidate. That wasn't the reason why. Biden won because Democrats were scared of Trump and they came out in droves, right? That's why Biden won. People weren't like, yeah, we love Biden. That wasn't a thing. I mean, there were some people who like Biden, of course, right? Every candidate has people, who likes them. So there were some people who did like Biden, but they were very few. The vast majority were people just so scared of Trump. They were like, we'll vote for anybody. Yes. So Josie says, Trump doesn't need to rally his base. That's what Dems are wrong. I don't think that's true, Josie. You need people to be excited to get out and vote, right? And not just Trump loyalists. You need people who are like, can he win? Those people get out too, right? That's the biggest thing. You saw it happen, right? Trump is winning in places a lot of people weren't winning before. He's beating Biden when it comes to young people. He's actually starting to take black male voters away from that's actually starting to happen now. That is starting to happen. You're seeing not as much black women, some black women, but much more black men starting to come towards Trump now. You're seeing more and more of them. It isn't majority. It's not majority, but you're seeing it. And then you might go, well, that's good. But Josie, when you have people who for years, decades for some of them, have been voting a certain way, and you want them on that day to actually get up, break their habits, not just watch Netflix, and make a change, you got to be rallied. You got to get the base out to tell them, particularly in smaller communities, black communities particularly, it's a common thing where they'll get a bus and a church bus will come out and bring people to the polling station. That's a thing. And I don't know where you live, Josie. You might know that already. I don't mean to assume you don't know that. I don't know where you live. But that is a thing. Those of you may not know that. That's a thing. Well, if the base isn't rallied, they don't do that. So that kind of thing does have to happen. With respect, I'm just giving you pushback. I think he does need to make sure Republicans get out for him, or more Democrats might show up. And he could be, particularly places like Michigan, places like Pennsylvania. He has to. And it's just him. I'm saying Trump because he's good at it. But whoever, I'd say Trump, I don't know, decides he isn't going to, whatever, or they don't get rid of him. Nikki Haley will have to do that. Somebody will have to rally the base to get them out. Otherwise, yeah. Michelle goes on, my area of New York is all Trump signs. I've seen it, Michelle. I know. People think that, nobody likes Trump in New York. It's not true. Just the majority don't. Most people who many people who like Trump are thinking about leaving New York State or have already left. New York State, of those of you saw, has lost the most number of people again. This is how many years running? I forgot. It's at least 10 years running. It's the most people leave New York State compared to any other state. So we're losing people. And those people are people who don't want to vote Democrat. If they want to vote Democrat, they would stay. So yes, you're right. It's all Trump in that area. But to be forward, the amount of people in your entire county, you're in, Allegheny, right? You're in Allegheny, Michelle? Allegheny, right? And on all of Allegheny County, I mean, 10% of what's in the Bronx. The Bronx has 10 times that population. So you're right in that area is Trump country. But when it comes to New York State, the cities across New York State just dominate. There's more people in Buffalo than the entire county of Allegheny. right? I think even, yeah, probably more even in Rochester, more in Syracuse than the entire Allegheny County. So there's just so many more people in the cities across the state that just dominate the state. And the cities are solidly blue. Rochester, solid blue. Syracuse, solid blue. Buffalo, solid blue. Right? New York City, solid blue. Albany, solid blue. Ithaca, solid blue. Binghamton, blue, but not solid blue, but blue. So yes, I hear you, but it really is. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So anyway, James says, I hope nobody gets to 270 next year. Everybody's talking about this. I'm seeing it everywhere. Now, for those of you who lean more Democrat or Republican, you might be like, what? Is that a thing? Yeah. If you're independent, you'd be either green, libertarian. You knew this a long time ago. I talked about this plan. I'm not joking. I talked about this plan stopping 270 with Gary Johnson in 2016. 7 years ago, I was talking about this plan. I thought it's the way to get there. And I talked about it again in 2020. Nobody listened to me in 2016. Nobody listened to me in 2020. 2023, all of a sudden they found my plan. Huh? Isn't that crazy? All of a sudden now they found my plan. I've been screaming this for 7 years. Now, yes, all of a sudden. So John says, Trump may cook his own goose if he picks Haley for VP. I could see why he would. But I don't think he will. And I think it's a bad idea. I agree with you, John. I think he should not. But I could see a logic in him doing it. The advantage and disadvantage of Trump is that he is a powerhouse personality. That's a good and a bad thing, right? The bad part is he can just go off the rails and the team doesn't know what he's doing. The good thing is no one's going to convince him of this and that. Right? They're going to be, come on, go. That's not going to happen. So I think, but he could do it. I could see the logic. I agree with you though, John. I think it's a bad idea. I think it would be the wrong answer. So yes. So Michelle goes, Biden's so bad. My woke 25-year-old Democrat grandson is now voting Trump and he hated Trump. I got to tell you, Michelle, thank you for that. I have a buddy of mine who literally voted for Hillary, wore the I'm with her sticker, has a picture of him and Hillary in his office. He's considering voting for Trump. So this guy literally gave money to Hillary, wore the pin, I'm with her, has a picture of him and her together because he goes to the fundraisers with the big wigs. This is the guy. He's like, I think I'm voting Trump. Yes, you are not alone. You're not alone. That is a thing that's happening. I see it. Right now, if nothing changes, it looks very good for Trump. I mean, right now it does. Now, who knows? This could change easily. If he actually gets convicted of something, it may change. Anything can change, right? You don't know what RFK is doing. He might come up with some great strategy plan. All these things could happen. All I'm saying is, at this moment, right now, today, looking pretty good for Trump. That's all I'm saying. So yes. If I can grab here a couple more, I appreciate this. All right. So many of these. Yes, you can join my Discord. I'm sorry. Thank you for that, guys. I do appreciate that. All right. Marco says, Nikki Haley said a second Trump presidency would spell disaster for America. And the Mitch Republicans want to disqualify Trump by using the 14th Amendment, Section 3. Marco, thank you for saying what I was saying. Right? It's actually establishment Republicans and average Democrats who want to get rid of Trump. Establishment Republicans have always hated Trump, and they still do. Hasn't changed. Has not changed. Again, I want to be clear. I don't want to beat up on Republicans. I'm only saying that because it's Trump. Establishment Democrats, they have Biden, and establishment Democrats love Biden. He's Hillary in male format. That's it. He's establishment as they could possibly be. That's one of the reasons which I think there may be some cruelty here. I don't know if it's true, but there may be some cruelty here. The people who run the Biden group, campaign, White House, whatever, they're all making tons of money. They're all having tons of power. They're all in the right spot. They don't want Biden to go because they all lose their cushy, cool, powerful jobs. I understand that, but I think it's freaking horrible. But I also think it may be true. If they got rid of Biden, whatever, put RFK in the Democratic line when he was Democrat, they would have done that. If they put Marianne Williamson up front or bring on Gavin Newsom or whatever the thing they do, a lot of those guys are losing their jobs. They don't want that. Biden, I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you know your name. I don't care if you know what planet you're on. You're in. I'm not losing my cushy job. I have a feeling there's some of that, right? But Marco, thank you for that point. I actually believe that, yes. So, John, can any state choose to remove candidates from the ballot for any reason? In theory, no. But here's how it works, sadly. It's sad. Judges don't do anything unless something's challenged. So if a state said, I don't like Trump because Trump has orange hair, or I don't like Biden because Biden beat up somebody years. Who did he fight that guy? Corn Pop? Because he fought Corn Pop 50 years ago, whatever. In theory, if they just took him off, he'd come off. Someone would have to sue. No court would say anything. It's go, okay, I guess he's off. They wouldn't say a word. Someone has to sue and say, that's wrong. That's unconstitutional. You have to put him back on the ballot. That's how it works. Judges don't act all the time. And I mean all the time. State legislators, city councils, our Congress create blatantly unconstitutional laws all the time. And they know they're unconstitutional or don't care. They don't care. If no one sues, the laws stay in effect. That's how it works. So could a state do it? Yes. I don't like Biden because I don't like people whose names start with B, right? That they could do that. He'd be off the ballot. Will somebody sue? Of course, Democrats would go stop. They would sue. And unless a judge decides, the judge doesn't have to. Now, I'm sorry. New York State judges, if it was an establishment person, would defend the establishment. If it was anybody else, they would just go, nope, you're correct. Get rid of them. People whose names start with B is fine. And again, how do I know that? The judge who was in Bath in Steuben County literally said out loud, he said, no, these laws are meant to keep people off the ballot who can't win. They're fine. That's his exact words. He said that. That's on the record, if any of you care. I forgot the judge's name. Steuben County, New York State, in courthouse in Bath. That's what he said. Bath's the name of the town. Those who don't know New York State, name of the town. So yes, you can. They would, unless somebody sues. I hope that answers your question. So yes. D says, I find it interesting that the Epstein list was going to come out recently, and then this Trump ballot strategy came out the same day, and a judge, oh, you know what? I had thought of that. Maybe. I don't know. You got me thinking now. Okay, well, maybe you got me thinking on that one. Maybe. Let me think about that one. Maybe. Yes. So see if we grab a couple more of these. I appreciate it. Let's see here. John, a lot of questions. I appreciate those too. If I can grab a couple more of these. Scott says, things the Democrat and Republican parties agree to for 100, Alex. Nicely done. That's nicely done. They do agree, don't they? 100%. Right? When it comes to that, they're like, yeah, on board. When it comes to throwing people off the ballot or keeping the establishment going, they are 100% on board. I agree every time. Yes. All right. Marco says, the most important races are the attorney general races because the attorney general is in charge of the election security. Is it not suspicious that Dems won the most important races? Huh. Do you think they were doing that on purpose? I'm not saying you're wrong in the outcome, but were they thinking that far? You may be giving them too much credit, I guess would be my only concern. Are you giving them too much credit? Maybe. But I get it. I get what you're saying. So yes. Rhetoric says, if someone writes in someone I don't like, then it isn't valid. Sadly, it's true. The problem is they don't have to even in New York State. If it's not 2% of the vote or more, they don't even count them. I'm not joking. They don't even count them. So nobody knows how many write-in votes I got. I didn't get 2%, but whatever I got, who knows? I might have got 1%. I might have got 10. Not 10%. I might have got 10 votes. I don't know. But what I do know is I did not get 2%. That I'm assuming that they're even close to honest. So actually, maybe not. Maybe I don't know how many I got. Maybe I don't. Yes. And that's how James says, I hate that write-in candidates not viewed as serious candidates. They are more serious than the Democrats, Republicans, my ballot. Now, here's the piece that I want to bring up. Why it is so unconstitutional. So unconstitutional. When a state puts in a party and a name of a candidate, they are by default advertising both the party and the candidate. Right? How is that constitutional? It isn't. What do judges go? No, because why? The judges are also on the ballot the same way. They're all part of the system. Why didn't the sheriff come in and stop it? Right? Because he's part of the system too. That's how he got elected. That's how they all get elected. They're all stuck in the party system. Think about that for a second. Why is the state spending your taxpayer dollars to print up ballots with other people's names on it from only two parties, which, by the way, your tax dollars also pay for the primary, even if you're not a member of that party? So your taxpayer dollars paid for their primary, even if you're not part of the party, if you're not registered with the party at all. Your taxpayer dollars paid to print up these ballots with their names on it, even if you're not part of the party. You don't care. How's that constitutional? It's not, and nobody cares. Clearly, these things are unconstitutional. It's not even close. Of course they aren't. So either you should have nobody's name, or it should be very easy for a person to get on the ballot, or at least have no parties, just have names. And it used to be that way back in the day. Party bosses would talk to each other, get the name out, get the word out, and get people to know who to vote for. If you're part of that party, good. Listen to your party boss. If you're part of that party. If you're not part of the party, vote for who you want. Vote for who you want. Yes. So Michael's going to say, Colorado law states that write-in can only be candidate qualified for the ballot. That's insane horse stuff. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Leah J says Trump could pick Tucker for all we know. That's true. Trump can pick anybody he wants, right? He could. And that's something that would be interesting if you pick someone like a Tucker, someone who's just a popular person. It's an interesting a way of doing it if he would do that. I mean, I don't know if he would, but that's an interesting concept. Just picking somebody who's popular like Tucker or anyone else, right? But just someone popular. So, yeah. So, Lars, how are you, sir? Lars says, our elections are run by two private corporations, the RNC and DNC. We cannot expect free and fair elections if private corporations stop running our elections. Now, for those of you who are more on a socialist side, that he's right. You should be angry. He's right. The RNC and DNC are private corporations. I'm not joking. And how do I know this? The Supreme Court already ruled on this. People said it's back in the Bernie days. People said, no, the DNC cannot stop Bernie or anyone else. They have to provide us with free and fair elections. That's our entire system, free and fair elections. And the DNC said, no, we don't. We're a private corporation. We can do whatever we want. We can put up any we want, any rules we want, any way we want. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, they're right. Well, if they are, then why are they controlling the ballot? I'm okay, to Lars's point. I don't mind private corporations setting up their own rules and regulations to present people forward. Okay, I don't mind private groups deciding that they think this guy or this gal is the right person. No worries. Do as you see fit. Gather as you want to gather. Get together as you see fit. Vote how you see fit and put candidates up that you think are right. No worries with that. But why are you now, as a private corporation, running the ballot? How did that happen? Blatantly unconstitutional. Nobody cares. Blatantly unconstitutional. The Supreme Court said they are a private company and the DNC is not required to give you a free and fair election. They're not the government. They're not required. I'm not joking. Check it. That's true. Okay. Well, then why do you control who gets on the ballot then? Why can't Amazon do that? Why can't Facebook do that? Why can't, 3M do that? ExxonMobil, why can't they decide? We decide who goes on the ballot. Why can't they just do that? I mean, they kind of in a way do it, but just openly. DNC just does it openly. Yes, just does it openly, 100%. Anyway, Leah says people will write in Trump. Yes, but even if they do, the reality of this, Leah, is this will sound horrible. People are lazy. A lot of them aren't going to show up. They're going to say, Trump's not in there. So why bother? How do I know? That's how write-ins work. I know I did a write-in. To Shelly's point, I know what it's like. It doesn't work as well. The marketing does matter. It just does. The marketing does matter. So yes. Dave says, my odds are on Kerry Lake or Vivek with Nome and NGT as second tier. Interesting. Kristi Noem is very popular. For those of you who don't know, Kristi Noem is the governor of South Dakota. She is very popular. So I could see that. And a younger woman, I could see that, right? That would make sense for him. I could see it. Kerry Lake too, also. I don't know if Kerry Lake is popular. Kerry Lake is popular, but Kristi Noem is literally an executive. Like, she has that big advantage. She's literally an executive. Kerry Lake didn't win her elections, so she didn't get the spot, right? Kristi Noem is literally a governor. South Dakota's a small state, but still governor, right? So I see Kristi Noem more than I see Kerry Lake, but I get it. Kerry Lake is very loyal to Trump. Kristi Noem is loyal to the party and would support Trump because he's the party head, but she's not a crazy, like, all in on Trump. Kerry Lake, totally all in on Trump. So he does care about loyalty. So I could see Kerry Lake. Vivek's pretty low on Trump too. I could see that. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think you mean MTG, right? She also is very low on Trump. I could see that too. Maybe. If of that group, if you're right, Dave, I would put my money on Kristi Noem if she would do it. I don't know if she would do it or not, but yeah, I could definitely see that. So John says that Kerry and MTG would be too polarizing. I think that's probably true. I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that logic behind that completely. Yes. So, all right. See if I can keep going down this here. Guys, thank you so much for all these back and forth. I'm trying to gather as many of these as I can as I go through here. Anthony says, judges shouldn't be allowed to have party affiliations because then they rule by affiliation and not law. Yes, Anthony, I'm with you. Yes, 100%. I completely agree. I think they should. The problem that we have now, and I know this is in New York and I see it in other places too, is that because of where they are right now, many judges are former prosecutors. Is that a bad thing? Yes, right? I don't want the percentage of prosecutors is too high. Being a prosecutor should mean you can't be a judge. I'm not saying that. But in New York, they literally call it, I'm assuming some other states, I don't know, but I know in New York, they actually call it the prosecutor to judge pipeline. That's a thing. So many of our judges are prosecutors. Why is it a bad thing? Prosecutors by default support the state and destroy the people. That's what they do. They support the state and destroy the people. That's what prosecutors do. Again, we have to have prosecutors. I get it. But I don't want all my judges to be that. Some of them can be that, but a lot more should not be that. Right? Now we have a culture in New York State that judges support the state and the status quo, and individuals have zero value. Their rights are stupid. Doesn't matter. Constitution, dumb. What matters is law. You hear them. Judges will say, well, they passed the law. Yes, but your job is to stop these idiots, these brain dead freaking chimps that we have in our assembly. Stop them with their bad laws and check them. Checks and balances. Our judges do not do that. They go, well, they passed the law, so it's good. No, you don't check whether it's right based upon a law. No, you based upon the Constitution. Half of the laws these guys write are utter garbage, blatantly unconstitutional. Stop accepting the garbage they give you. Half these guys can't read or write, and all of a sudden they're the ones who are doing it. Half the people who run for Congress are idiots, and I mean they're freaking stupid. I'm not joking. That's true. If Mike is watching still, he knows he's met them also. Remember, there are some brilliant ones, not all of them, but a big chunk of them are idiots. And you think they're the ones? They don't even read the laws. Lobbyists write them, they sign off on them. And judges go, oh, it's good, he wrote a law. No, some lobbyist put together a law, and you're supposed to be checking them, but you don't. So I think your point's valid. There are bigger problems also, but yes. Absolutely, yes. So I'm going to grab some more of this if I can. Joe says, libertarians need to be messaging. We have struggled, Joe. I think you're right. We have struggled. So, yes. Leia says Tulsi's an option. Yeah, maybe. She hasn't really been to the forefront, huh? Be interesting pulling her out, right? Maybe. I could see, maybe. Has she been very pro-Trump? To be fair, I haven't followed Tulsi very well, very much recently. I don't know. Has she been pro-Trump recently? Has she been pro-Republican Party? Last I remember, and this may have changed, last I remember she was still saying she was an independent. She was saying that she's not a Republican or Democrat. She's just independent. That's the last I remember. So would she have to become Republican, I guess? Is she Republican? I get what you're saying, Leah. I just don't know, to be fair with you. I'm unsure. I don't remember if she has gone down that road or not. So the lunatic libertarian says, is there any validity to the corporation of the United States operating under maritime law or the originating law before the Federal Reserve and income tax? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the assumption is once the Constitution was ratified, that's it. You would have to break the Constitution in some way, shape, or form to change it. I think that's correct. So I hope I answered your question. I think that is correct. Yes. Missy, thank you so much. Just click the like button. Hit yes, guys. If you like what I'm saying, click the like button. It does matter. Every like does matter. Please do it. If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet. If you want your chat to go to the front, super chat. It goes right to the front. If you haven't been watching on Larry Sharpe YouTube, if you want to support the show directly, patreon.com/sharpeway. $10 a month goes a long way. Every little bit counts. But no matter what, click the like button on whatever you are, whatever you're watching, like, whatever you're liking, heart, do it. It does matter. Please. I'm taking all of the things that I possibly can. Brian says, thank you, Samantha. Yes, I do keep punishing myself. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Yeah, 100%. So, all right, let me keep going down here if I can. See if I can grab this. So many of these, I keep going down here. Lieutenant says Argentina will be the example. Guys, I am very happy that Argentina has a libertarian president. But I want to be clear here. Argentina is going to be tough. It is in a terrible spot. If you are libertarian leaning or libertarian and you're listening and watching, not all of you are, but if you are, please give some grace to Javier Milei. Please give him some grace. He is in a very tough spot, and he's probably going to make some mistakes, and he's also probably going to do some things that aren't libertarian. He's looking at 150% inflation. The Chinese fighting him because he's trying to go towards the dollar, and the Chinese not liking it and trying to punish him. He is in a very tough spot. So I hope you will give him some grace, see how he goes, give him some time before we start hammering him. I hope we do that. John says, many RFK Jr. supporters want Rand Paul to be his VP. I have heard that more than once, John. I think there may be something to that. I don't know, but I have heard people say that more than once. Doing that would pull a lot of libertarians towards RFK Jr. for sure. If he's looking for the RFK, if RFK Jr. is looking, if he is looking for the libertarian vote, not a bad thing to do. I'm just being forward. Not bad. I would bet every libertarian running would love to have Rand Paul as their VP. So yes, I agree with you. That definitely could be something there. So yeah. All righty. Leia says that GOP is dying. There's some truth to that. And what I mean by that is not that it's actually dying, but you are seeing a decline in GOP membership, Democrats too, but fast in GOP membership and fundraising. The GOP needs some stars besides Trump. They need some, and losing libertarian thinks is Vivek. Vivek is very popular. The people like either like or hate him, like love or hate him. Like people like, oh, that guy's weird. Oh God, I hate that guy. He is a personality, and big personalities, I mean, they're easy to love and easy to hate, right? Trump, perfect example. Easy to love, easy to hate. Absolutely. Lots of people either love him or hate him. Very easy. Absolutely very easy. Yes, absolutely. So Christopher Ball says, Trump is being treated as guilty until proven innocent. That's not how the American way. Shame on the court system. Yes, but I'll say again, so common. So common. Absolutely so common. Yes, so often. So yes. All right. Let's see if I keep going down here. Okay. Shelly says, I thought the female judge in the middle was going to vote for you. She really disappointed me. Yeah, she was trying, but no. Yeah, you were there. Shelly was there in the courtroom when it all happened. It was not good, right? It was not good. It was really bad. It was really embarrassing. So yes. Gene says, how long has it been since our government officials have cared about the Constitution? Wow, such a great question. I'm thinking it has been since the late 1940s or 1950s, based upon all the unconstitutional wars we've been since World War II. You know, I think this may be the thing, right? Once you get to World War II, maybe World War I. Gene, it's a great question. I feel like the Depression changed America, right? Once the Depression hit, America, I think, changed culturally. The country changed in 1913 with the Federal Reserve, income tax, all that stuff, right? That's when the country, the government changed. But I think the people, the culture changed after the Depression, because that's when the government stepped in and say, I'm going to save you. I got you, right? And you give me all the power through the income tax and through the Fed that I can just do this now. So now I'm going to save you. And now it's all about saving and helping and fixing and all that stuff, not protecting rights. So if you're not protecting rights, that's what the Constitution is all about. So that's out the window now. If all I care about is saving you and protecting you, Constitution is secondary. So I would say, yes, we see it since World War II, but I think it actually, the government began in 1913. I think the culture began late 1920s or 1930s is when the culture hit. That's what I think. So, but I get what you're saying. I hope that was clear in my thought process. So, all righty. See if I can grab one. You guys going back for that. I appreciate so much of the back and forth. Andrew says, rural versus urban always been divided for decades. Yes, and still is. And still is. Yes, you're right. And I see it in New York. Right? Literally, if you go to some places in the North Country in New York, if you see some of these in the North Country, you have a town that's blue. The town is blue. And you'll see, like, Biden Harris. You'll still see signs, Biden Harris. You drive 5 minutes. I'm not joking. 5 minutes outside of a small town, and there's barns spray painted 2024 on a barn. Some guy spray painted or painted it on his own barn. And it's 5 minutes away. Small town to farm. I agree, Andrew, completely. You're right. Yes. All righty. Grace says Trump hates Haley. Won't happen. Maybe. Mike agrees. He says Trump will never pick, I think, oh, you mean Hawley or Haley? I'm not sure which one you mean. Whichever. He'll pick Carrie Lake of Arizona if he needs a woman vote. Ben Carson or Tim Scott, more likely. Black vote breaks stems. If he's got to go Ben Carson or Tim Scott, I think Tim Scott's the answer. If he's got to go either, right? Tim Scott's a much better speaker than Ben Carson and has more experience. And South Carolina. So if he had to choose, I think he goes Tim Scott. That's just my view. I think if he's got to pick, he goes Tim Scott. So yes. Andrew's like, Chrissy Nome for most likely Trump. I'm with you, Andrew. I'm with you. 100%. Coach Mike, how are you? He's an establishment puppet. It's elder abuse. I think you're talking about Biden, and yeah. I'm not sure he was a puppet though, right? He is now. I think he was part of it. Like, he was right there, right, doing it all. Maybe now he's older and now he's a puppet, but no, absolutely. So, Andrea says, do you think if SCOTUS overturns Colorado, it could help third-party candidates? I think, to be forward, Andrea, no matter what, it helps us, right? No matter what, it helps us. Absolutely. I do think that it is going to help us no matter what, because people are talking about third parties. People are talking about ballot access, all those things. Nothing but a help. Again, me personally, for a totally selfish reason, I hope the Supreme Court overturns it based upon First Amendment and freedom of speech. And if people should decide, I hope that's why they do it. Again, I'm not saying they will. I don't know. I'm saying personally, Selfishly, that will help my personal argument. So I hope they will do it that way. And it's possible. It is possible the Supreme Court will take it and go, look, this is too important. Courts, judges should not be deciding who the president is. This is too big of a deal. This has to go back to the people. The people have spoken. I hope they do something like that. Once again, I'm not saying they will. That would help me tremendously. If you really want to help third parties, though, to be forward, not me personally, it might be better for third parties if the Supreme Court does allow him to be thrown off the ballot, because then it will be Biden against third parties, and third parties will get great. I mean, RFK Jr. will make a killing in Colorado. He might win it, right, in that regard. So for third parties in general, it's probably better for them if SCOTUS does not overturn Colorado. For me personally, it is that they do. But my way, the way I'm saying for them to do it. So I hope that answers your question. So D asks, will you be on the radio Tuesday after Christmas? I will. I will be on Sharpe Way Radio Tuesday the 26th, 1:05 p.m. Eastern. If you want to hear, yes, I will be there. Absolutely. So yes. All right. Brian says, Iowa's a bit different. Judges are appointed and the people vote periodically on the retention. Well, that's decent. Okay. That may be different. Grumblings Media says, hey, I was just on Grumblings Media. You will see them. They will be out there talking about the same issue. I don't know if he saw my post that I was doing this earlier or not. I don't know, but maybe. Tucker is well informed, not just popular. Correct. He is. But he's had some bad libertarian takes recently. So Tucker, you make me angry. Don't have bad libertarian takes. Libertarians are smart. Don't do that. Yes. The Messianic Minarchist. Uniparty bullying is best known from the Ross Perot campaign, from the Bob Dole campaign. Everything changed in 92 after Ross Perot made change 100%. Yes, everything changed 100%. It all began to change. That's when everybody got scared. Yes. So, all right. Grace says, Chrissy Nome was on Hannity's radio show today, sounding like she's running. Ooh. So does that mean she's going to be VP, Grace, or is she prepping for 2028? Christy's young. She can easily run 2028, 2032. She's got time. She's going to have to run 2036. She's got time to do it if she wants to. Do you think she's waiting for the next one, or she's hoping to be Trump's VP, or she's thinking that Trump's going to drop out or get thrown off the ballot, and Vivek or Haley's going to win and make her VP, or she's going to jump in the race last minute? I don't know. Can she even jump in the race now? I'm not sure she can. I'm not sure she can. That'd be a tough one. But it'd be interesting if she jumped in. I think she definitely is still very popular. And again, you're a governor that always plays well. Yes. So Shelley says, Argentina could go sideways. Change is difficult. Give them some time, like the colonists had. Yes, agreed. 100%. Gene says, I liked and shared. Now I'm commenting. Thank you. And guys, there's something else I want to ask you. If you care about this show and you like what I'm doing, then do me a favor. After the show's over, like tomorrow, tonight, over the weekend, during Christmas, come back on YouTube and put a comment after the show's over. The YouTube algorithms love that. When you come back afterwards, put a little comment. Whatever it is, put a little comment afterwards, comment in it. YouTube loves it, helps me out, and it's free. You're gonna pay a thing. If you're gonna be on YouTube anyway, stop by my channel, put a little comment. Oh, great show, like it, Larry, whatever. Go Trump, whatever you want. All good. That would be great. I would appreciate it. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Grumblings Media. Dear God, Americans or most have no clue about how the government is built and works. It's gone from authoritarianism, one person's, to the military juntas, 30,000 dead and missing, and then corrupt cronyist capitalism. The corruption and power seekers exponentially outnumber him, not to mention how libertarianism in Argentina versus America. Yes, valid point. Again, he is in a bad spot. Guys like him sometimes have accidents, you know what I'm talking about, and wind up not being above ground anymore. That happens. So, yes, absolutely, that does happen. Yes. And so we have to worry about that. So, yes. Kurt says, when has the government ever told you the truth? When they arrest you and telling you you're going to jail. That is the one time, Kurt. When they arrest you and tell you that you're going to jail, then they're telling you the truth. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I don't know. Yes. Maybe some other time. I can't think of one. So Mark says RFK Jr. is stealing libertarian thunder. Having Rand Paul as VP will make it even worse. I agree with you, Mark. Again, I've heard this rumor. I have no inside information. I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying people have told me that RFK Jr. is considering Rand Paul as his VP. I do not know if that's true. People have told me that. I don't know if it's true. If it is true, I think you're right. Libertarians are going to have a very tough year next year. I think already, right? No matter what. You've got Cornel West running, RFK Jr. running. You've got Jill Stein running. Who knows if No Labels has a candidate or not? They might have. The rumor is Joe Manchin's running and libertarians. Gonna be a tough year. If this is true and he takes Rand Paul, tougher year. Yes, tough year. Absolutely. The Messianic Miniker says, didn't Trump say he'd have a female VP though? Green would be most likely, but I'm hoping he pulls a Biden with choosing Haley. I don't remember him saying that. Did he say that? I remember that's what Biden said. He's gonna have a black woman. I don't remember Trump saying that. That would disappoint me if he did. I hope he picks somebody just because he picks him. He doesn't say, I'm gonna virtue signal and then does it. I don't like that. Yeah. I don't know. I hope that's not true. I don't remember it though. So yes. Lars, thank you, sir. Little comment. I appreciate that. Yes. Matthew says, I think the deadline for anyone else jumping in the race has passed, and that goes for all parties, but I could be mistaken. I have a feeling it's kind of done now. I don't think she can step in. My gut is she's looking, if Kristi Noem's looking at all, she's looking for a VP slot. And again, I think she'd be a good one. I think anyone who's running, picking her she speaks well, she's savvy, she's a governor. I think she's not a bad pick for a Republican. If that makes any sense. She was good on the lockdowns. I think when it comes to Republicans, it's not a bad pick at all. So yes. Christopher says, I feel Trump is the way to go in 2024, but an RFK/Rand Paul ticket might make me think twice about my New York State vote. The reality of it is, I get what you're saying, Christopher. You got to think strategically in New York State now. If RFK gets ballot access in New York State, it does put New York State in play now, if that makes any sense. It does. If he does not get ballot access in New York State, this state's going Biden no matter what you do. Whether you stay home, vote, whatever, this state's going Biden. If he gets ballot access, I don't know how many votes RFK will take from Biden in this state. I don't know. Kennedy's Kennedy, so he's popular, but New Yorkers do love establishment Democrats. So I don't really know what's going to happen in that regard, what will happen. But again, New York is a plurality state. You only have to win the highest percentage. So in theory, if RFK is running here, we take more from Trump voters, we take more from Biden voters. You get 40, 35% of the vote, you win the state. And we're a winner take all. So you get all of our, I think we get 28 electoral votes. So you get 28 electoral votes if you win this thing. If RFK gets ballot us in New York State, it's a winnable state. It's a winnable state. I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but it is literally a winnable state. Then it changes everything in that regard. Absolutely. So guys, let me ask you a question. Do you like what you're seeing? Please click that like button. I appreciate it. Guys, I appreciate the AMA. I hope what I'm saying was interesting and the concept was cool, how we talked about it. I hope it was. I am going to let you guys go. I appreciate all the time you guys have given me tonight. For those of you who are celebrating, Merry Christmas. I will not see you until the day after Christmas, as Dee has said. I'll be back on here. I might come on this weekend, but I doubt it. But I might do something this weekend. Odds are I'll be seeing you guys next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. I'll be on my regular radio show. And then I'll be doing also Wednesday and Thursday shows. I will be back working next week. I will see you all very soon.